You a young entrepreneur, you a young go-getter, right? Without these solutions, it's gonna be hard to make it in business. And you can learn from other people who have done it before you have. Here's the lineup. Survive and Thrive, Ken Thorpe, Stephen Farris, Gary Brackett, and James White. I hope you enjoyed the show. Okay, so they say there's nothing new under the sun. So every young generation that comes into this world, if there's nothing new under the sun, we should probably talk to some older people who've been under suns before your sun is being shown on you, right? Mm-hmm. So all these people who've been under these suns are living. They know something that you don't know, which we call that a mentor. A lot of youth don't like listening to so-called older individuals, so I didn't want to meet with older individuals. Mm-hmm. Old America, middle America, youth. Middle America, OGs and young middle Americans are the bridge between older and younger. Mm-hmm. Not having a mentor, how does that affect entrepreneurship? How does that affect learning, knowledge, the whole gamut?
So my experience is, I don't think I'd be where I was at right now without my mentors. So when I was younger in my career, I kind of found my own mentors. Sometimes it's easier to find someone that you kind of, have a natural chemistry with, and maybe request and maybe be an informal mentor. But it may not have to be somebody that's formalized, but just somebody you go to for advice. So I'll share one story with you, one mentor that kind of changed my whole perspective and maybe helped me, get to some of the accomplishments that I've made. So when I was younger, I had a boss, and I would go to him with a lot of problems, and I would say, hey, here's the problem, what can I do to fix it? And he kind of would give me an answer, and then I go to him again and say, hey, here's the problem, what can I do to fix it? And he kind of give me an answer, and then I go to him again, and he looks at me, and he says, don't just come to me with the problems, come with solutions. And I kind of was like, I was kind of upset a little bit, because I was like, you're not gonna help me? So over time though, those words have helped me, because one thing I learned from him sharing that with me as one of my informal mentors was, even if you go to him with the solutions that are wrong, you give them an idea of what you know, so they can actually help you more from that position than if you just go to them with a question. They don't really know what you know. So mentors provide that type of information to you. Like I said, it could be somebody that's informal, that you may not have a formal mentor relationship with, but they still share information. And I think young people today need to learn to receive that information, not as if it's something that's, someone's trying to tear them down or tell them something that's not, with kid gloves on. They're just giving them the real and saying, hey, you need to do this. I've been there. You don't have to bump your head like I bumped my head. You can take where I'm at and build on that. Like we say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. You can continue to build versus everybody starting off in the same place, bumping their heads and everything like that. So mentors, I think, are critical. And if you want to succeed in any area, I think you find people who have information and knowledge in that area, and you ask them questions. You get to know them. You form those relationships. You go after those relationships. Don't wait for them to come and find you.
Gary?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Growing up, I grew up in an area 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia, born and raised in Camden, New Jersey, so one of the roughest areas of the world, right? Then I moved to Glasgow, which is a suburb. So growing up, I didn't have mentors readily available, right? So I didn't have people that I could look at and say, I want to be like him. Because there was, in my circle of influence, there wasn't any doctors, lawyers, any of that stuff, right? I grew up across the street from the projects. So I grew up around drug dealers and prostitutes and, everything else under the sun. So for me, not having a mentor meant looking at things that I didn't want to become, right? Because so many times you identify what you do want to become, but I think at first you identify what you don't want to become.
Okay.
There's so many people that have negative influences, right? And then there are consequences for everything you do. So as I grew up, I saw the consequences of the drug dealer who had the car and the house, and then he got locked up and he was away for 10 years, and then his kids were without fathers, right? So I saw these situations, and for me, it was about what I didn't want to do. And when the first time I had a mentor, other than like my brothers, was like when I got to college, and it was after I got a scholarship. My assistant coach, Mark D'Onofrio, he would require me to come every single game and come watch film with him. And he would watch every single play and critique me on it. And he didn't care what the score of the game was. And at the time, we stunk, right? So we were getting blown out. But for him, it wasn't about what the game, what the score was. It was about what my individual contribution was at any given moment without looking at the score. And he taught me really to play football, to live your life, not adding up the score. Right, so I wake up every day. It doesn't matter how much is in my bank account, everything else. I want to do great because I want to do great. Because that's what I was born to do. So that's what I kind of learned and developed from him. Being one of my first mentors was just like, look, man, like don't settle for being good when you got the opportunity to be great. So every day, give it everything you got.
All right. Kim?
No, I agree with these guys, and I think having a mentor. I mean, I think it's very important. But similar to like what Gary was talking about, like I didn't grow up having a mentor per se, or even knowing necessarily what a mentor even was. It was more like I grew up in a neighborhood where we played every day, and we hung out. I hung out with the guys in the neighborhood. We just did our thing, and nobody in the neighborhood basically had anything that I didn't have, so we just pretty much in the same boat. And but it wasn't until like later on, like when I was in college, that I started to learn a little bit more, and probably one of the key things that really happened to me is that I was at IU, and I was pledging fraternity. Yeah, that's right, the red and white. And Bill Mays was a part of that fraternity. He came to visit, and I remember he gave me his business card, and he was talking to all the pledges. And I remember I just kept in contact with him, and over the years, and I went into my own career and I was doing my own thing, but I would talk to him about different things if I had questions or whatever. And I remember when I was first considering entrepreneurship and just talking to him, and he used to always say, "Ken, what are you waiting on? I mean, when are you gonna do it? I mean, what are you waiting on?" And and I remember he gave me opportunity because he believed in me, and he would bring me into like meetings and let me sit down, and as he was conducting business, and I would say, "Hey Bill, I don't have anything to do with it. I have no value, no input or whatever." And he just looked at me and just smiled like, "Ken, just listen." He said, "Because one day you will be doing $1 million deals, and you need to know what it looks like." So he said, "Just listen. You don't need to know anything. Just sit and listen." And I mean, that was very valuable because it was a learning experience. I learned so much just by being in the room. So of course, now, as I'm out doing my thing, and I'm doing deals, similar to what he introduced me to, I'm very comfortable. It's not even a situation where I feel uncomfortable, and I learned from him, he just by letting me experience it. And that's what I say about young people. And sometimes, it's good to just have, young people that you allow to be around you, because you never know what they might learn or pick up, and it may help them later on in life.
No doubt.
So, I mean, I think, having a mentor and mentorship, I think is very important, so it doesn't matter how successful, we are or we become. I think it's important that we play a role and we get back to younger generation, and we make sure that, that we make a difference in their lives. Whoever that we feel like we want to touch, that we somehow help them, be better.
I think
all of us have a unique perspective because I think we're all what used to be the Generation X, and so I think growing up in the 80s, you get a real unique perspective because you're like on the edge where your parents, uncles, things like that come from the civil rights. Then you growing up hip hop, so you got a different edge, different rawness to you, and now you're going to this next level of your life. Thinking about growing up then, I mean, 2-parent home, and so when I would see things like mentors, I thought that was just for trouble kids. I'm like, yeah, I need a mentor. I got dad, I got uncle, I'm good. As I got older, I started to understand a little bit better about what true mentorship was, especially going into corporate America and see all those people, dad, uncles, everybody else, they were all real blue-collar folks. They were working. Here I'm coming into a white-collar world and not really understanding how things go on there. So I was introduced to a man who probably didn't know he was my mentor at the time, but he became a mentor and helped me navigate through those things and introduced me to other people that looked just like me that were having roles in companies. It's like, wow. So I got to watch how they move. And then later on, I got to understand what it became to be a leader. So not just sitting here directing and barking orders, but carrying yourself and showing things to bring other people up. So that all that shaped me to who I am. And so then when I actually got to meet the guy here to my right, Ken Thorpe, he took it, and he doesn't even know this now. I'm going to tell him right now, he's been a mentor to me because he's shown me on the entrepreneurial side, even though being corporate, I can still take the entrepreneurial spirit to whatever I'm doing. And just watching him and working with him on different things and seeing how he moves and the way he thinks about things has really helped shape me and allowed me to use that to bring somebody else, to help younger folks know, look, you don't have to be a troubled kid to get a mentor. You don't have to wait until you 20, 30, 40, 50 years old to get a mentor. And you don't have to have, like Steve said, you can have more than one mentor. I've had more than one. Only a couple of them knew they're my mentors, but I have more than one because I'm taking pieces of all of them to help build me to who I am and where I want to go. So this is, I mean, I appreciate what you're doing, and especially being able to get these youth early, and I hope they got their ears on.
Come on, real talk. Okay, so this is my take on it, and same thing with Ken. I broke my hand in the NBA Summer League, and as a young black, African American, whatever you want to call it, I was taught that you can rap, you can play basketball, you can entertain, that's all you could be. So I'm going through life thinking it's all over. I run into Kid, he gives me an entrepreneurial opportunity. I don't even know why I have it, we're just having fun, but it's business, right? So now I'm looking at the whole marketing, entertainment world, totally different from the opportunity that he gave us. And I'm gonna keep it all the way real, because we're behind the scenes, right? I heard he didn't give people opportunities like that. But remember my boy Tony for Eli Lilly?
Correct.
Again, we're just having fun. But the guy I was throwing parties with just so happened to be one of the smartest individuals at Eli Lilly. And he was like 26, he was like a genius. He's like on some stuff that you were on. So we partner up, we meet Ken, we start throwing events, building our network like crazy, but we don't know we're doing it because again we're just throwing events. We don't know we're building our network, becoming the standouts in our generation, and we're just thinking we just looked at it like we was having fun. So that's one thing I love about Ken. He gave us opportunities, like you said, because Bill Mays believed in you. I appreciate you for believing in us. But if I didn't look at him eventually like a mentor, a lot of youth look at us like what? Like especially you, for you, Gary, I'm about to take you out the game. I'm taking your spot. Instead of being like, I'm about to learn from him, so when I eventually organically take your spot, it'll be a smoother transition versus getting on your nerves throughout training camps and the road and stuff like that, right? So I look at all of y'all like the mentors of the new Garys, Ken, Stevens, and James of the world. I'm looking at this from a world standpoint because again, what we got, the internet. Can you grow too fast, and is it good or bad?
I could just share my experience. I think you have to put in the time if you want to be good at something. So, people can grow at different rates. So maybe, you are able to learn faster and have the right connections, and it can happen. But generally speaking, you got to put in the work. So I mean, I was, first in my family to go to college, to graduate, worked for 20 years as an engineer for General Motors, stepped out, took a risk and took a test 3 times, but eventually passed it, and eventually, I ended up where I was at, but it didn't just happen. So I think if you grow too fast without focusing in on like a specialization, you may end up somewhere you don't want to be, and you may be stuck somewhat because now you put in all this time and you really wasn't focused, and you're kind of all over the place, and you never took the time to just set up a strategy. So I think if you have a strategy for where you want to go, you'll end up there. I'll jump back again. When I was in high school, my counselor asked me what I wanted to do when I got out of college. I said I want to work on electric cars. I didn't never touch an electric car. I really didn't know what electric car was. I just knew it ran on electricity. So I went to school, took electrical engineering, and then flunked out my first year because I was hanging out with our buddy. Didn't want to go to class. And I was like, come on, man, let's just go home. So I would leave. Really, my parents really didn't know nothing about college, so I didn't have anybody at home telling anything. So I was just sure. But, eventually I came back, figured out, talked to some people, informal mentors. One guy told me, go back, get your degree, you're gonna need it. I took his advice and, eventually graduated, took time, specialized in electric cars. I worked on electric cars. I worked on different technologies. I got patents in fuel cells, which takes hydrogen gas and makes electricity.
So you making bombs, huh?
No, hydrogen is actually safer than gasoline. We can talk about that.
Cut your feel.
Yeah, so all that to say, take time, specialize. Find something you're interested in. Just take the time to think about it. What do I want to do? And then try to stay on that path throughout your career so you can build on stuff. Don't just jump around, because then you lose, some of the experiences may not be relevant if you jump somewhere else. I mean, I'm not saying if it's not working that jump, but make sure you make that conscious decision and it's not just a, knee-jerk reaction.
Okay. So, Gary, you build on that?
Sure. The growing too fast is interesting, right? Because now, like you said, we have this thing called the internet. So information that was once where it's only the book in the library, you can now get it, at your fingertips, right? So, and even mentorship for that matter. I mean, there's YouTube, there's free channels, there's podcasts. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of do to elevate your growth, whatever that is. I will say one thing. This is my belief. Mom was ordained reverend, grew up in the church.
You PK?
Oh yeah.
I'm a PK
too.
Yeah. So my mom would tell me, God will never take you to a place that your character won't keep you. Right? So God will never take you to a place where your character won't keep you. So when you're talking about growing too fast, sometimes people grow too fast and it's too much for them. And they can't deal with the limelight. They can't deal with the 100 employees. They can't deal with the massive payroll. They can't deal with all these things.
They know me on the east side.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't deal with, they can't deal with that type of pressure, right? So they have to build into that. And then I would say that however hard, whatever you're going through, whatever your process is, whatever success looks like for you, however hard and long it took for you to get there, it's going to take even harder and longer for you to keep that.
Real talk.
And I think growing too fast for me is people that think that they've done something and they arrive and they feel like they can kick back and relax. I work harder now after I've had success, right, than it took me to get here. And it should be that way, right? Because now I'm fighting to keep it. So I just think of having that mentality of growing too fast. It's not growing too fast. It's just feeling when you're in a place where you stop learning.
Okay.
So I just feel like you can never grow too fast if you never stop learning.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm down with no limit. Come on. Hey.
We behind the scenes. We want to see. Where the dollar come from?
Boy, no limit. So I don't really believe in necessarily growing too fast, but what I think is you have to have a plan, and it has to be, whatever business you get into, it has to be where it's scalable and that you understand, what you're trying to accomplish and you have a plan for it. Okay? So where a lot of folks might rush in, I'm somewhat cautious But even with being cautious, I don't put a limit on my growth or my potential. So that's why I say no limit, because I feel like I can achieve and accomplish whatever because I'm gonna manage that growth. I'm not gonna let it get out of control because I'm gonna manage it. And when I feel like that I'm at a certain point, you know, then I will assess and I will then determine, you know, where I take it from there. But one thing that I share with you, my brother, okay, I'm not gonna allow anyone or anything to put me in a box and say that, you know, now this is where you're at and this is, you know, you gotta stay. I don't believe in that. So I feel like there's potential, you know, and it's not really a such thing as growing too fast, but I will advise to be careful and manage the growth, okay? Because I do see people that, you know, they lose control of that, and then that could potentially be the downfall of their business, because if you don't manage it and you don't have that control, then next thing you know, you're trying to do too much, and then it's all the other components that go into a business, such as, you know, relationship, banking relationship, financing. There's so many different things that are involved. If you can't manage that growth, it gets out of control, you can find yourself, you know, in a bad situation. So I say that there's no limit as long as you can manage what you're doing, okay? And typically, I would encourage folks that are listening, folks at this table, you know, I never make it about me, about myself, okay? Because I have never done anything, even up to where I'm at today, you know, without having, you know, what I consider to be, you know, key people to help me get to where I need to be, okay? So it's not about me, you know, it's always, and I share this with my folks in the office, it's about the team and what we can accomplish. You know, it's no different than, you know, when Gary was out there on the football field, you know, everybody would say, hey, you know, the Colts have Peyton Manning, you know, the greatest quarterback ever or whatever. I will assure you that even with the greatest quarterback per se, you know, you still can't necessarily be the greatest team if you don't have all the other elements, you know, that will help you achieve the kind of success that you're trying to achieve. You know, people think, you know, it doesn't matter how you want to look at it or compare it, you know, and we talk about, you know, Peyton Manning, we can stick in Brady or whatever, because if you don't have, you know, Belichick, and you don't have the other components, and people are not doing what they need to do, you're still not going to reach the ultimate goal. So it's about the team. That's how I look at it.
So hold on real quick. Let me get this right. There's no limit as long as you can manage what you putting on your plate.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they summed it up. The only thing I would add to that is, I think a lot of folks, again, I think our generation is that bridge. We have the luxury of seeing the real older generation come through some struggles, and then we still able to touch the youngers. The youngins, I think, need to understand when they're seeing the successes, whatever lane, you've seen the end of the book. You didn't read the chapters, you didn't read the how everything breaks down. So until you go and find out how that person won that Super Bowl, you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a Super Bowl winner, and just without putting the work in. And it's like he said, it's no limit, but you got a plan. So you gotta have that plan, and with that plan, it may come patience. And if they don't put that in, it could be a problem.
So let me make sure I got this right. So basically, growing too fast for some people is because slow viewers are looking at them. So slow viewers are saying you're going too fast, but what you're saying is make a plan, which will make it seem like you're going fast. But if you hang around slow viewers, they're going to give you that type of advice. But fast movers don't usually say that unless you're having a management problem. Just for the youth listening in.
I mean, you can make it simple. If somebody says, I don't want to spend all this money in school, I'm going to graduate in 3 years. That means I got to take 18 credit hours this semester, 18 this, then 3 in the summer. So you plan it out. It's going to be work. But you done planned it out. Versus just saying, yeah, I'm going to be out here in 3 years like he did. And you didn't realize what he did to get out of here in 3 years. So you got to put the plan in and put the work.
Okay. Good points. Anything else? Or y'all wanna? Okay. Now this is a question that a lot of people would pay top dollar to have. Creating, that's one, and then maintaining, two, your business or businesses with the right team.
Yeah.
Well, anybody can take this, or Jerry, you wanna go? Or this question right here is like, you know how they say it's hard to find good help,
Right.
or if you want something done right, do it yourself. Because again, how many championship teams you been on?
2.
How many? You only been playing 2 years?
Oh, no, not at all.
But 2 championship teams. Because it's that hard to put together a team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Listen, how do you do that? Just what would you give to them?
you know, I think you got to start with your mission. What is your objective? What's the mission? What's the goal? Okay, and how am I gonna get there? And when it goes around the horn, you got the all NFL guy. But I like to put things with my team on my comms team. I like to always say, look, it's like a football game because everybody wants to score the touchdown. Everybody knows that's the goal. But if that guy doesn't block, this guy's not doing a dance in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
If that guy doesn't hike, he's not doing it. So everybody has to play their role. So, but then me, I have to sit back as a coach, like, who can I get? I have to assess everybody's talent and say, okay, if I put this team together, then we go win. Now, this might not work for this team. It might work on that team, but for me and the plays I'm running, it's perfect. But you have to, it all builds up from the mentorship to being patient, to learning who you are and what you're looking for to be able to get to a point where you can put your team together to get your goals. So
I'm a youth. I'm a youth right now, and I'm like, so what you're saying is I got to look at build my business or organization like a coach.
I think so, and I think you're looking
2 hours a day, 5 hours a day, or I have to breathe. I have to become that.
No, that's it's all day. You seeing stuff all the time. You seeing things that other people. You kind of look at things differently. You see different things in people that other people might not be able to see, and you bring them out of them. You're like, you know what? I see something special. I'm going to bring that out in you, and we're going to use it to right here, and not hold you back either. So now you're on my team. You're excelling, but you might want to go and do this on some other level. I shouldn't be holding you back. I should count it as a compliment to me that you were able to move on and achieve something else. I can sit back and say, yeah, that's awesome. This is what I'm doing. I'm building these guys.
So you being too personal, it's like you leave it, but a coach understands you push players to leave.
And not get me another player. Still, because I still got goals,
That's right.
but I want to watch him achieve his goals also.
Right. Kim?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying before. I mean, how important it is. I mean, when you have, a good team and the right people, then you can pretty much, do whatever it is that you set your mind to do. And there's been situations where I didn't have the right team, people on the team or whatever, and those businesses, they suffer. I've been a part of a lot of different businesses. That's why I tell young people all the time, just because you start out, you do one thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that, that's it, because what that may be is, it may be a situation where it's preparing you for the next thing.
Gotcha.
So, but having the right people and having a good team, I think is the key to success. I mean, that's what I found, from my, several years of being an entrepreneur.
Right. Jerry?
Yeah, so for me, Coach Caldwell, he told us one time in a meeting, he said, your best ability is your availability. Right? And what he meant by that was that sometimes you want people on your team that are awesome, that are great, right? But they're not available, right? And you don't win with people because of you only win when they're on the field, right? You don't win when they're in their training room. You don't win when they're not playing because they're hurt. You don't win when they don't show up to practice. You only win when they're active, when they're available. So when you're looking at your team, just look at people that are available, right? Right? And I think so many times, we have this, we romanticize about who we want on our team, but that person may not be the right person for you, right? Because their availability is not what you need, right? You need them 40, 50 hours a week. They can only work 20, right? So in 20 hours a week, they're not going to give you what you want, but you still bring them on in with just come work 20 hours a week. We'll figure something out. You're not going to figure something out.
Right.
You set yourself up for failure, right? So analyze people. What's your availability? What can you give me? Right? And one other thing that I will always say as the leader of the team, I always say, what I want from you is all you got. Because that's what I'm willing to give. I don't ask anybody in any of my organizations to do anything at any of my jobs that I won't do myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. And you know, the thing is, Gary, when you say that, you know, it's so real, because I just remember, like, even my days when you know, being a restaurant owner myself, you know, there was times when, you know, I had to jump in there and you know, serve a table or go in the kitchen and do whatever it took, especially early on when you're starting out, you know, whatever it took to be successful. But you got to be prepared to do that, because, you know, what I wanted the folks on my team to know is that there's nothing that you guys are doing that I'm not willing to do.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because even me myself, I'm part of the team. So it's nothing that you're doing that I'm not willing to do. So I'm willing to help you do whatever it is so we can be successful. So whatever it takes.
So it's a funny story. So March Madness, right? Probably our busiest month inside our restaurants, right? I own 10 restaurants, stacked Pickle. So March Madness, sports bars, everyone's in there. It's gonna be crazy. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna plan out my day. I'm gonna go hit every single restaurant, right? So they're from West Lafayette to Greenwood, right? So I had this master plan. Where we gonna map it out. We're gonna hit everybody. So we go. Our first restaurant was downtown IUPUI. They thought because they were on a college campus and the kids were there that they weren't gonna be busy. We were slam packed, understaffed. Right, so the whole I'm gonna see every store went out the window, and we went to serving, we went to rolling silverware, we went to doing dishes and everything else. And the GM was embarrassed. Like, man, I'm like, don't be embarrassed. Like, do a better job with your staffing and anticipation your needs. Make sure this doesn't happen again. But I'm not embarrassed because I have to wash dishes and I'm carrying food out the kitchen and people are laughing, snickering like that used to be Gary Brackett. Now he's carrying out our food. Like, I own a joint. My stuff. Thinking I'm the dish boy or something, right? And they thinking like that's above me. That's not above me. Right. I gotta make sure everyone sees that I want to do anything.
Right. That's that leadership I was talking about. Being a leader versus I'm the boss of this. I'm the boss. I run all this.
Right.
Yeah. To go play golf.
Yeah. No. You might get your hands.
But you know what's funny? I see restaurants that are like on fire, and I see the GM just sitting there, just looking in the corner. Yeah, that's like, dude, help!
Right. That's the word.
Just pick up room up, help, carrying plates, bust tables. So it's just.
Real talk.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, just to build on that, I would say, you know, on the creating part, you have to kind of just identify the needs you need in your organization, and don't just hire people because maybe they're family members or they're friends or blah blah blah. You actually build a team of individuals that have skill sets that will help you achieve your goals and your desired outcomes. And then once you have those people in place to maintain it, you just empower them. You don't try to micromanage them. You let them do their work. You're paying them good money. You brought them in for this skill set. Let them work. You know, if they have any questions, they'll come to you, but don't stand over them and try to dictate and say you need to do your work this way. You know, I had a supervisor who tell me that I should listen to music when I write patents. Well, I need some background noise to write. You know, I'm writing for hours. I can't just sit there in complete quiet and write. So what maybe had worked for her, you know, doesn't work for me. So her trying to micromanage me kind of made me feel some kind of way. You know, like, why is she telling me how I need to do my job? You brought me in here to do this because I had the skills. Just let me do it. You know, so that's kind of thing. Just when you bring in the right people who have the right skills, let them do their work. And if they're not able to do it, you might need to bring somebody else in, but build a team of the right people, and you should be successful.
Okay. Staying in my own lane. What does that mean to you? Staying in my own lane.
That means it builds on the last one. You assemble this team. I go back to now. This is your role. I'm not trying to demean it or say this is what you do, but in order for us to get to our goal, our mission, I need you to play this. I need you to play this, so we can get to the victory. I mean, that's what it is. Now, yeah, I know you can play here, but for this game right here, I need you to play this. And if you're willing to doing that, then we're gonna win. Because again, we're a team. If you want to go on your own and do something and play all the positions, I can't stop you.
So basically, everybody in your group, including you, should stay in their lane.
Everybody has a role. So I've got, like, on my team, I got 7 folks. I can do all their positions. Like, I can do the graphic design. I got somebody who has a little more knowledge on that than me. I can go and do the web. I got somebody with more knowledge on that than me. Everybody has a role, and if we all do it, I sit back as the coach and say, this is what we need to do to get to the victory. Everybody break. Now, if you need some assistance, my door's open. Come in, or somebody's ill, James is stepping in. It's not a problem. But you gotta maintain that lane, or we'll crash. We'll go across the yellow line.
Okay. Because a lot of youth, they believe that, I'm a self-made millionaire. I do everything on my own. So I'm like, I like to ask stupid questions. So you're your own janitor, secretary, marketing director, blah, 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 blah. Then it's like, no. So if you're running everything, you're not maximizing or leveraging the different job titles that you even said you can do. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have to do them, you can do more. So again, the youth that's listening, stop being a self-made millionaire and delegate.
I think they need to understand what they mean by self-made millionaire.
Yeah, what do you mean? What does that mean?
Well, I haven't made that, so I can't talk about
I could never understand it. I can't understand it either.
But I will say, when I get there, it ain't on me. Meaning it's not my back. Again, we go back to the very beginning. People I've looked up to, mentors, people I've watched and learned from what they've done, taking their advice. So then, when I'm there, I can say, yeah, that's how I got there. I learned from this brother, this sister, whoever. So I can't get up there and say, oh yeah, I'm a self-made man. No, my stage would be full of people if I'm gonna say, these are the people that made me who I am. Yeah, absolutely.
Staying in your lane. What's your thoughts?
Stay in your lane. Man, I mean that's something that folks just have to understand. And it's not so much staying in your lane, but it's being in the position to allow yourself to win and be successful. Okay, so like you mentioned, a lot of different things, and the young folks they may take it the wrong way. But what I'm saying is, you got to learn. Like I wanted to learn all the different aspects of my business, but I don't want to get caught up into micromanaging the people that's doing the work, so that they can't get their job done. I want to be at a point where I can assess and I can look at it from a distance, so I can get a clear view of the landscape. So I would suggest or tell people to to just be cautious and understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Understand the basics or the general of whatever's going on, but don't get caught up in the weeds, because once you do that, then you don't have a clear view of what's really going on. Because then you become so laser focused on trying to correct something or do this or do that then you miss something else.
Gotcha.
So make sure that as a manager or as a leader, that you have a clear view of everything that's happening, everything that's going on.
What's up? You good on that, Gary? Staying in your own lane.
Yeah, staying in your own. So it's amazing, right? So I was on obviously football team, right? Championship year 2006. Jacksonville Jaguars. We played them down in Jacksonville. They rushed for like 450 yards on us, right? And the paper, funny, Bob Kravitz said that the only reason they only rushed for 450 yards was the end zone kept getting in the way. they was bumping their head against the goalpost, right? I mean, it was awful. But yeah. But I chuckled, right? So, but when we looked at the game film, what happened was everyone was in everyone else's lane. Everyone was trying to overcompensate because this happened on this play, so now I'm just gonna do a little bit extra, right? And then now this happened, now I'm gonna get out of my hole and go someone else's hole, and it goes in your hole. So when people ask me like, what changed? Like, how'd you guys go from being one of the worst defenses to one of the best defenses? We all committed to one another that we was gonna do our own job.
Wow.
Right? So the coach would always say, 111th. Take care of 111th and win at your job. Right, so if you focus on what your job is and you win in that area, you can help the team win. So that's what staying in your lane means to me. Is just 111. Do your job.
Okay.
Win at your job.
Yeah, they need that speech now.
Yeah. But then on the other side of that, you gotta trust that he's gonna do. We all on the same team. I gotta trust Gary got his, so I ain't gotta go over there and try to back him.
Nah, that's it. Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, let's be real. The trust doesn't happen, right? When someone doesn't do their job for a long period of time, you're like, man, this sucker ain't gonna do his job. Right. So back in my mind, I'm gonna do it, but I still got this one on. Nah, commit to it.
Right.
Burn the boat. This is my job. I'm running through the A gap. That's my hole. Yep. Right. Or I'm a graphic designer. That's my lane. Right. Or this is what I'm gonna do. I'm HR, and it's all. And if you do that and you burn the boat, right, and you take on the hill, right, you'll be much more successful than trying to be like, all right, what you doing again? All right, cool, you need help? All right. And then micromanage everything and everybody.
That's a good one. I like that. That's good.
Steve.
Yeah, my spin on it would be just like Gary was saying. You got to commit to your job. There is a plan. There's a plan out there. You may not understand everything that's going on at the higher levels, or if you're at the higher level, you're setting the plan. So you need to let people just execute the plan and kind of navigate when necessary. Because if you don't stay in your lane, like Gary was saying, everybody's running in everybody else's lane. So you're not going to achieve anything that you set out to achieve. You're going to achieve something, but it won't be the outcome that you want. So stay in your lane, do what you do it well, specialize in it. And one thing some people don't really grasp either, specialization is actually very, very good. It's good to know stuff in a whole lot of different areas, but a lot of people know stuff in a lot of different areas. What if you just specialize in something? I mean, of course, it has to be an area that is in demand.
It's a saying that there's riches and niches.
Yes. You can become very influential, very powerful, very well compensated by specializing. So if your lane is something you can specialize in, do that and do it very well. You'll be rewarded.
Awesome. This is a good one too. I would love to see the responses. We'll start with you again, James.
All right.
Describe the mind of a winner.
Man, that is a good one. I really like to watch sports. I think that brings everybody together. People that even if they don't know how to play, they still like to watch it. And we always look at our top athletes, and it's funny. Gary and I were talking a little bit earlier about LeBron, and everybody talks about Mike. The thing I like about Jordan is even though he was undoubtedly the best, he always wanted to be better. So whatever it took, he would still put the work in. He was already documented as the best, like this dude is nice. But he was like, no, I'm still gonna get the best, be better. And one thing I remember is a young kid reading an article, and he said, I almost remember the quote verbatim. He said, Patrick, Charles, Carl, y'all had a chance while I was gone. Now I'm back. And dude ran 3 straight. I said, golly, that dude ain't no joke. Because that's the thing about him winning. He's gonna win. Do whatever it takes to win. He's gonna put his teammates in position to win. Whatever it takes. If he has to just pass all game, he's gonna do it. So you're gonna do what it takes to win. Again, go back to your vision, your goal. What do you want to accomplish, and what it will take to get there? So it's that mentality of knowing where you want to be and being laser focused on getting it. Nobody can push you off your square. Nobody.
Got you.
Yeah, no, I said, and I agree with that. You use a perfect example, my man MJ, but it comes down to, that laser focus, because a lot of folks talk about, what they want to do or what they want to accomplish, but, it's not until you commit, like fully commit to being successful and to accomplishing whatever goals you set. You got to commit to it. And once you like all in, then that's when you see the results.
Like everything starts.
It does. It's like that clarity is there because you already committed. So now that I'm committed, I'm in it to win it. So you got to have that sort of attitude that I'm in it to win it.
Got you.
So when they say all in, you gotta be all in.
Good point.
Yeah, I think one thing that I will add, even with the winner's mentality, that you're gonna encounter some type of adversity. And what I always say is expect adversity, but also expect to overcome it. So when you talk about the greats, the Michael Jordans of the world, the Peyton Mannings of the world, they didn't make every shot. They didn't win every game. They had some type of adversity in their lives that they had to overcome. And I think the reason they overcome that adversity because they expected to overcome it. I feel like so many times have a little bit of success or no success or have a little bit of adversity and then they shut down, right? And everything that they work for, now they just give up on it, right? But everything that you face, right, is something that you can overcome.
Gotcha.
And if you look at that as an opportunity to get better, then I feel like then you have that winner's mentality and you'll be able to lock in. Like I'm at a point now, no matter what happens in my life, I'm strong enough to realize that I can overcome it. Right? And when you have that type of mentality, like you said, I'm locked in. Nothing can happen whereas though I could be like, oh man, this is it. I knew this was hard. Yeah, it's supposed to be hard. Like toughen up. Like, put your chin up. Let's go. Put the work in. So that's, I think the winning mentality is one to just have the mindset to overcome adversity.
Mindset. Got you. Okay.
Yeah, I would say, having a mentality of failure is not an option. Yes, it's hard. Yes, I may not know how to do it right now, but if you're committed to learning and gaining that information and knowledge to do it, you'll be successful. I've never had a job that I walked in the door knowing how to do it. Someone believed I could do it. I believed I could do it, and I did it. Why? Because I put in the work and the time. You have to stay committed. You have to have the mentality of there is no, failure's not an option. Yes, you failed, but don't take failure as a loss. Take failure as a win. Like, boom, I failed, but look, now I know what I don't know. So I won't make that mistake again.
Right.
It's, when you tried to walk as a kid, how many times did you try to do that? Probably several. When you try to talk, why do you stop, now and think, failure is just something bad? Well, you learned that along the way somewhere, but it's not true. Failure actually makes you more knowledgeable, builds your experiences, and allows you to be successful because you know what not to do.
So, needing a mentor, love their responses. Now, people say, okay, I'm just gonna start listening to older people. You say I need a mentor. You said I need a Ken Thorpe. Everybody older is Ken Thorpe. No, they're not. Listening to the right older people. What advice would you give these young entrepreneurs that are told to listen to older people? Listening to the right older people.
I would say, generally older people will give you advice just because they may see something and they want to just kind of maybe try to help you. All of it may not be good advice though. So one thing I say is like, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Like, take from it what you can. On the side of trying to get advice for what you want to do, you have to figure out what it is you want to do. So you say you want to be whatever you say you want to be, so you find somebody that does that, however you can find them. And then you try to connect with that person, and try to get that information that they have so that it can help you along your way. You don't want to just get advice on stuff that's not really relevant to, seek it out, that's not really going to help you do what you want to do. It may be good information, but again, it's not really the meat you need at the time. So you find someone who has that meat and you take it and you eat it, and the other information you get along the way from older people, some of it you may can use, some of it you may not, but don't necessarily just accept it because the older person said it. Think about it, figure out, does it work for you? And if it doesn't, you can leave it. It's not necessary to just take it because someone older said it.
Got you.
Nah, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that. Eat the meat, spit out the bone, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that to post that one time or something like that.
Right.
Now, I think he's exactly right. I think obviously, for me, I feel like I can learn something from everyone. So I have conversations, and I don't feel like I'm high enough, even when I speak to older people, that I can't listen to see what they're gonna say.
Okay.
But ultimately, I look at their track record. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Right, so I look at what they say, and if it matches up what they do, then I'm like, all right, now I got somebody who I can legit listen to. But if it doesn't match it up, then I think we gotta move forward. It's funny story. I was getting recruited by a financial advisor, right, by a bank I'm not gonna name. So he was telling me all these great things he could do. So he looked at my portfolio, I had all these suggestions, and how he was so well, how his clients did so good. So I'm like, okay, and I have a long-term relationship with my financial advisor, right? Don't plan on leaving him, so he would just, I was like, hey, what's out there, right? I can learn something.
Yeah.
So I learned some valuable information from him. So it was time to sign. I said, look, man, I got 2 things for you, so I'm gonna sign with you. He's like, man, that's awesome, man. When we gonna do this? I said, but I need one thing. So all that advice that you gave me and all that financial success that you have for your clients, I'm gonna see the same thing for you. So since you saw all my financial information, I'm gonna see your financial information, and if it matches up with your words, then I'm signing on. You're like, well, I have 3 kids that went to college, and I had this going on, and I got downsides. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
But you were just talking about how well you did for everyone, right? So until they can like show you what they've done, until their actions meet up to that, then I feel like that's when you know who to listen to.
So I just want to make sure I get this right. Are you telling youth to disrespect older adults by asking to show me?
No. No, I'm not saying. A lot of times you don't have to ask to show you.
Okay.
You can visit. You can see.
That's real. That's real.
Right? I don't have to ask you what kind of relationships you have with your wife and your kids. I can see that based on what your kids say about you.
Got you.
Right? So I'm saying take everything in. Right? Obviously taking the words. Right? Eat the meat, spit out the bones, but also look at the actions. Right? And seeing those are consistent with those words.
The reason why I asked that is I was a kid and like, well, show me.
Yeah.
50-year-old, 13-year-old, show me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're disrespectful.
No.
But then when you get older, it's like, oh, he's background checking.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful when you
that's
did it.
Yeah. They just probe and asking the right questions, man.
Okay.
Yeah. You just want verification.
Ken, you build on that?
So it's one of those things where, you know, you want to listen to people, but you also want to do your homework, do your research, so that you understand and you know what you're getting yourself into. Because, you know, it's, you know, a lot of people out here saying that they're doing a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean they're doing a lot of different things. Okay, so do your homework. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with what everybody said, and I'll even add to, even as a young person, you can be 10, 9, 8, it doesn't matter. You can still ask. You can ask. Get a little depth on there. You can ask for wisdom. You know, you can get spiritually connected, so you'll already have that wisdom going through you as you're seeking out those older folks. And it's a way to ask questions without being disrespectful. So, but I think anyone with any level of intelligence that is of a certain age will not feel disrespected by someone coming to them inquiring about how they became successful. But the other side of that too is not to be dismissive of those that you think are unsuccessful. Once you do, like Gary was talking, you listen to him like, this guy ain't about nothing. But how did he get to be about nothing? You know, because you don't want to go down those pitfalls. So even learn from him, like, that dude blew all his money on drugs. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that. Thanks for letting me know not to get into that party in life that I see on the videos. Okay. That's a failure.
Thanks for living like that.
Yeah, thanks for. Sorry it happened to you, but thanks for the example because it won't happen to me. So you gotta balance it out. But I think even as the right older people, let's not put a big generational older on them. They could be a couple years older than you, but far ahead as far as experiences. Still, listen to them. Learn from those folks. You don't want that's the best way to not make the same mistakes. Just listen, learn from theirs.
I will add one thing. A lot of people think it's older people, right? It could be someone that's your same age. Absolutely. It could be someone younger than you, right? And just be wise. They just had different experiences that you. So it's not necessarily older than you. It's more necessarily the right person. Yeah. Right. So not the right older person, just the right person. And period.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah. Anybody else want to build on that? Killed it with that one.
Yeah.
This is a good one. I don't think nobody in this room has that problem. But again, people, especially youth, they have this problem. Taking too long to leap.
You know, I think life is all about time. Everything I do, I mean, I'll take calculated risks. Sometimes I miss, sometimes I'm on. But if you take too long, and it's interesting, I'll just stay in this space and, you know, let Ken go where he wants to go. But I know we've talked several times about different business things. And then Ken will say, man, you know, I was thinking about that, now they doing this, you know. And so that's one of the things that I learned from Ken is like, when you got that idea, when it's hot, go ahead and move on it. You know, move on it. Get your homework so you can make sure you're prepared for move on. You know, don't wait to look down and say, man, I could have done that too. You don't want to be that. You don't want to regret with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, taking too long to leave. I mean, it's one of those things. You know, for every person, you know, you have to evaluate that for yourself. You know, as I look back. As they say, you know, hindsight's 20/20. You know, but when I was growing up, you know, and this is why I think a mentor is so important because when I was growing up, you know, what I was told, and this is coming from my mother, right? My mom was like, boy, you gotta go get your education. She go, you gotta get your education. I want you to make sure that you get your education because once you do that, you can get out, you can get a good job. And she said, then you can, you know, work there and then start a family, and then then one day eventually you retire. And so I was just like, oh God, that's it. I mean, that's all you got to look forward to. That's it. But
that's the security blanket, right?
Yeah,
that's how they grew up.
That's how they grew up. Our parents' generation, that's how they got down. And so my mother had me so convinced that that's what I had to do. So when I was in school, I checked all the boxes. I got my degree. I went through ROTC, got commissioned as an officer. And then when I went straight through, got my master's of science degree. So I was like, I'm gonna check all the boxes, because what I don't want to do is, have a situation where I'm not prepared, or somebody says you're not qualified. So that was my biggest worry growing up. And somebody said, well, you're not qualified, you can't get that job, whatever. But what I learned from even pursuing my MBA is it took me in a different direction to say, hey, you can do your own thing, and you can be successful at it, and I would encourage young people, and that's why I say put yourself in the right position, get your education, because that's something nobody can ever take away from you. They can never take it away, and it opens doors. So you may not even know exactly what you're going to do or where you might end up, but once you have that, nobody can take it away. So I would encourage that, because then as you take in those leaps, it becomes a little easier to do that, because now you have something to fall back on, and that no matter what, you can always go out and find a job. So I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, if it don't work, I can find another job. And I get another job, But thank God, I've been out here now, and grinding, and I'm at a point where, and I have for a number of years, but that's not even an option anymore. I don't even consider, that as an option for me, because now I put myself in the position where, I'm good. Now I'm like, and Gary's probably, like this as well, as far as how he's thinking. I'm not, saying I'm reading your mind, but I know you're a family man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what I'm trying to set up now and what I'm doing now is so that, it's kind of like, and Gary, probably you got to the league, like you probably met a lot of players that said, hey, I'm gonna go to the league, have success, I'm gonna buy my mama house, and this, that, that whole thing. So, and I fed into that as well. I bought my mama a house, I bought my sister a house, I brought my brother a house. I had to kick him out because he didn't want to pay the taxes. So I said, man, but he matured and he learned, so now he's, picking up pieces of whatever. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of ways, and this is really for the young folks, because there's a lot of ways that you can get to where you want to be. And I think it's so important that it starts with education. Educate yourself, go out and have that, because that's something that then allows you to take those leaps. And then you always have something to fall back on, but you can rest assured that as you are jumping into whatever you're jumping into, that you go into it with your eyes wide open, and that's probably more important than anything else. So that's my take.
That's all. Gary, you good on that?
Yeah, I think. So I learned in my MBA. I got my MBA also from George Washington University. One thing I say, you don't have to have a formal education. So the idea that you have to have an MBA or something, that's not what we're saying, right? There's a lot of ways to get education now, to get mentored now, to get where you want to go to. But in terms of taking a leap, I learned the strategy where if you're shooting in the blind, right, your dream is the blind, you don't know, you have to take faith, right? And it's unseen, right? So they said take their approach where instead of putting one of these bombs, right, that Stephen's going to hydrogen and everything, right? You loading up, you spend years, and then you shoot that bomb, and then it hits nothing, right? He said, starts with yourself a little pellet gun, right, and just take some shots around, right, and take some shot. So eventually that shot, you're going to hit something, right? So then you get a little bit bigger again. Hold up, I think it's something over here, right? So you get a little bit bigger, and then you hit something again. So then you could pinpoint and say, all right, this is my area, this is where I'm aiming, now I'm gonna build this bomb and I'm gonna launch it.
Okay.
Right? And I think so many people, when you're talking about taking a leap, they think you're talking about building that bomb and taking off and launching it. And what I'm saying is finding out where you're gonna leap to. Right? And by taking those calculated risks, right, by doing your due diligence, by working, by taking risk, by failing, from learning from your failures, you then get to a point where you can finally hit that point of success. And then when you hit that point of success, then you have to jump in with both feet.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Got you. Good point. Good point. Stephen?
Yeah, all good points. I'll just share kind of what I tell some of my clients when they come to me with an invention, because now you have to file before you tell anybody, or you can lose it. So, but if you come to me and you're not prepared, you're going to spend a whole lot of money, almost for nothing, maybe. Or if you come to me prepared, we can do it in an efficient manner at a low cost. So, I would say to take the leap, taking too long to do that could cost you your invention. It could cost you your idea. It could cost you the opportunity that's in front of you. So, as long as you're prepared, so I would say tell youth and anyone listening that find out what you want to do and just prepare for that. Maybe not even knowing how you're going to actually do it, but just prepare for it. And then when the opportunity comes, you can take that leap, because opportunities come every day. You're just not prepared, so you miss them. So people come to me all the time and say I was lucky for where I've done, and getting patents, not knowing I've been in lab for 20 hours, a day, not a day, a couple of days, 10 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of changed what lucky meant to me, because I got sick of people saying that. So when people say I'm lucky, I take it and say, well, luck to me is when opportunity and preparation meet. So the opportunity was there, I was prepared, so yeah, I was lucky. So now I can accept that when people tell me
Absolutely.
I was lucky. So I would say be lucky, be prepared, and when the opportunity comes, just take the leap.
What is your ideal of marketing and promotions?
That's kind of heavy. Let me kind of put it in a small version.
I'm talking to a marketing guy.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to go. Yeah, I don't want to go all shop talk on it. That's why I gotta.
With the SEO and the.
I think for the youth, I think what is best for them is to understand they are their own brand ambassador, meaning them. So if you want someone to believe in what your vision is, you got to sell yourself. You got to promote yourself, who you are. So I can say, you know what, I'm buying into this guy. Now I'm tuned into you differently, because I've liked the way you present yourself. I've liked the way essentially you've marketed and promoted yourself. So now next thing that comes out of your mouth, now I'm keyed in on. So now you want to talk to me about whatever idea, whatever venture. I'm like, okay, now I'm in. Now I can help you out, my resource and things like that. So I think for me, for this audience, is they have to understand how to market and promote themselves.
To make yourself relevant to people.
Absolutely, absolutely, in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a positive way, and understand, because it's been said before, we're on a bigger stage now. We're on the World Wide Web. Everything we do, somebody's got a phone. If they ain't making no calls, they making videos. So, like I tell my kids, my daughter's 16, I always tell her, you always on camera. You always on camera. So always watch what you're doing. Because don't ever think ain't nobody looking. So I say that because, again, you're always marketing yourself, always promoting yourself. So if you think, somebody caught you wigging out one day, you done damaged your brand a little bit there. So always be on there. Protect your brand.
Because we're in the information age, so literally everything is marketing and promotion.
Everything.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Marketing and promotion.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, what James is saying is so true. We in the information age, and it goes from everything that we do. I mean, it's almost like, you almost being a young person. When I was growing up, we didn't have all this. We were not in the information age, so you could, you didn't have cell phones everywhere that was video recording everything that you do and the whole 9 yards or whatever. We just, so it was just totally different. But now, that's where we're at. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, your circumstances, and understand that you are the brand. You are the individual. You are the brand. So remember that as you out doing whatever it is that you're doing, and conduct yourself accordingly.
Gotcha. Good point.
So I'm gonna take a step back, right? So all these things I feel like is as you're growing, developing your business, growing up, starting to be the next entrepreneur, CEO, whatever, right? But at some point, you're probably gonna be a one-man band, right? And it's just gonna be you building your business, and you're gonna have to do all those parts, right? So until you get to that point, marketing and promotions, I feel like you have to educate yourself on it. Because I've seen a lot of businesses fail because of marketing and promotions. Right? You see a regular cup of coffee, right? Probably 99 cents. You see that same cup with a Starbucks logo is worth $4.75.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right? And it's because that coffee's better, maybe a little bit better, but that brand, that Starbucks emblem, it means something.
Gotcha.
Right? So understand how big brand is, how much that plays a part of your success, and really spend the time to really identify that and really research and educate yourself on it. Because even though when you get to the point where you're going to delegate those skill sets, you're going to have to know what you're delegating.
Gotcha.
So learn those skill sets yourself as well. Marketing promotions is one of those things I feel like is key for any business.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I kind of market, believe you have to brand yourself. So I have an MBA too. So sometimes I say I'm putting my MBA marketing skills to work because I try to brand myself. So one thing I do is I put out there what I want people to see me as. So if I want to be this type of person, that's what I project on my social media. All my social medias, I'm on the same message. All day, whatever I'm posting, people are seeing that. And then when they meet you, you be that person, and you immediately become that person that you created. It's that powerful because they unconsciously say, well, I think he's this way, and they don't really know why because they read it while they were casually reading, so it's in there, and then they meet you and like, wow, this guy's this person. It's that easy, but you have to build that brand. No one else is going to do it for us. As African Americans, we don't really have a whole lot of people necessarily putting us out there like that, so we have to put ourselves out there, but you have to put yourself out there in a way, an image that you want people to see, and then when they meet you, just be that person that you projected.
What is the most important relationship building tip for you in business?
Man, that's another heavy. I mean, relationship itself, I think, is important. So the most important thing, I think, is in the word and building a relationship, because and all that comes together from your brand to the mentorship, because that is credibility. So if you're going to be into any type of relationship, business, friend, whatever, we have to have something in common. We have to build. It has to build. So it goes back to what we talked about before with trust on the team. It has to be built. So the building, it's personal. So I guess that's my biggest relationship. Personal as far as building a relationship, but understanding where you are in that lane. Is this a business lane? But it's still some type of personal connection because of where we're going to go from. And so I think that's the word is what's important about the relationship. Building the relationship is what's important about the relationship.
Got you. Okay.
Which involves trust.
From trust.
Yeah, have to have trust in there.
Trust. Okay. Ken.
Yeah, relationships, really are everything. But it all starts with communication. So, you got to have that to really be able to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve. But oftentimes, especially this is for young folks, they have a disconnect because they don't communicate well. Okay, and when I say communicate, sometimes that involves actually sitting down with someone and articulating what it is that you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to achieve. It doesn't mean sending a text, because young people, they want to say, oh, well, didn't you get my text? I sent you a text, and I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z, and I say, well, okay, yeah, I mean, I understand that's how you guys communicate with one another. I said, but in the business world, you know, if I'm trying to get something accomplished, or I'm trying to do something, I don't send somebody a text message, okay? Because, you know, it's important to me. So I want to either talk to them directly, pick up the phone. I said, but it's going to be some other form of communication other than sending a text message. I said, because, you know, that way I'm conveying that it's important, and I want the communication to be where it needs to be and at the level it needs to be. So, you know, I get it. You know, we all are in the information age, and information is flowing, and sometimes, you know, I get it. It's easy just to send a text and say, okay, this is what you're trying to do. But what I'm saying is, that may be fine when you're communicating with your friends. That may not be the communication you want to use when you're trying to conduct business. So I just want to make sure that, you know, young folks understand that, you know, because even how people, you know, treat you and what opportunities you may have, it may all be tied to how well you communicate, you know, with them. So relationships and communication, I think, are very important and key to business.
Awesome. Gary?
Yeah, I think for me, I read a book. It was called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And it was about planting seeds and being intentional about those relationships that you build. Right? A lot of times people aren't intentional about their network, and they're not intentional about their relationships, and they just meet every and anybody that's not even going to potentially help you in your field. So that's one thing. First, be intentional about it, right? Dig your well before you're thirsty. Make some contacts before you need them, make sure you build them. And then I will also say, don't always worry about the money. Don't always worry about what's in it for you. Right? A lot of times you build relationships, and so many people are like, well, if I do this for you, what's in it for me? Right? Those relationships aren't genuine. That's a business transaction. Right? If you're really about building a relationship, it's not about what's in it for you. Right? It's about someone asks you for a favor, someone asks you for something, you want to build a relationship, so you're going to go ahead and step on faith and build that relationship and not worry about, hey, so when we going to talk about some money? Or when we going to do this again? Or when you can put me on? Right? Nah, it's like, I asked you, you want to learn, you want to mentor, right? Right? Come do an internship. You'll learn a lot. I'll be a great mentor if you come here and work for me.
It's taking too long. It's taking too long.
Like, come on, man. I thought I was going to be CEO next week. Like, when you retire. So, like, put the work in. Right? And have those meaningful conversations, those meaningful interactions. Be intentional about them. Right? And don't always worry about what's in it for you. Because if you are, you're not going to be the conversations and the relationships that you want to form long term.
Got you. Good point.
Yeah, definitely to build on what Gary said, it's not necessarily about what the relationship can do for you. So one thing one of my mentors told me and has taught me is that when you meet people, you don't go at them with what can you do for me, you go at them as to what I can do for you. And that's the mentality you always have, is what can I do for you? You never ask them necessarily for what they can do for you unless they offer that up.
Correct.
And maybe at some point, by you being deliberately, looking out for their best interests with no expectations, they may reciprocate, they may not. But they may connect you to somebody that you never would have met had you not, had that kind of mentality. Because if you go in there with the, looking for something, everybody's looking for something, so you're not really going to be able to build anything there. And another thing I would say is a way to kind of build relationships is not just meet people and hand out business cards and just talk, but find someone you're interested in. Like, find something you have in common with that person, and then talk about that for a little while, build on that. And then eventually, if the conversation goes the way you want, you'll have a good start of a relationship. But don't go out and try to meet 20 people and get 20 business cards and never have a conversation.
Correct.
Because then all you got is 20 business cards. You don't even know who those people are.
Right.
But to me,
they don't know who you are.
One or two people, you talk to them for 10, 15 minutes, find something in common, build that common foundation, and you got something to build on later. You can go ask them for lunch.
And it rides out. Like if somebody say, yeah, Stephen Farris told me to talk to you, instantly, oh, Steve's my man. So I can go ahead and that instantly puts you inside of a different circle because of how you came to me.
Right.
Versus, yeah, I was looking on LinkedIn and I seen you do this. I'm not saying you can't come to me that way, but it's gonna take us a little longer to build, to get together. You know, that's
it's amazing. So I found personally, right, when I'm trying to engage, because we still look for mentors ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't made
Absolutely.
it. So, and it's amazing when people come to me, they're like, hey, can you meet on Monday or Wednesday next week at these times? I'm like, you want to meet with me? Like, I can meet you at 8:02 in my office for 10 minutes. That's what I can do for you. And you better be there at 7:59.
That is so great because I mean it's like, and I get this so often because people hit me up or they send me some of this stuff on LinkedIn or whatever, and they want to be like, oh, are you available? You know, this, that. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, but you know, I'm like, here is a contact, and you can go about the right way of setting up a meeting, and then we can sit down and we can figure out, you know, what it is that, you know, I might be able to help you with, but you want to put me on your schedule now. You want to say, hey, and you asking me for a meeting. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hold on, well, let's figure this out, you know, and there's a proper way of doing it, you know, so, and we got to go through those channels. But I just find it is very interesting because, you know, LinkedIn, for example, man, I get so many folks that hit me up off of LinkedIn that I don't even know. I'm like, I don't even know you. You know, you're like, hey, are you available, you know, next week?
Well, real question.
But it's not that they hit you up. Like, that's what it's for.
Right. Yeah.
But the first thing they hit up and what they could do for me, right? A sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
I'm good. Like, to your earlier point, like, this is what I did without you.
Right.
Let's how about we figure something out first before you just figure out, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I can do for you. Here you go. Right? Delete it.
You know, and not being especially the youth, and I hate to dog them out, but it's I'm gonna say it's our fault because we brought them up. They got to see us again toward the middle end of the book without realizing we were in the beginning. And so coming back from my lane is I like to know how people like to be communicated to. Everybody doesn't like text messages. Everybody don't like email. Some people like to talk. Some people don't like to talk. And so you want to hit them where they are and to be most effective. And so when you're trying to build with somebody and you just come with them like, oh, I saw him on LinkedIn. I mean, get it right. And tell them it's like, how? I'm not even check my LinkedIn but once a month. And now you out here in the streets talking about, he never got back with me. What? He never got back with me. You realize that's almost like a dummy account. I check that once a month.
But it's crazy with social media and everything that's going on. If someone wants to get in touch with you, they can get in touch with you.
They can.
So the whole thing that I couldn't find, and honestly, for me, being on the mentee side, like when I'm giving it might take some perseverance. Like, I'm not an easy guy to get a hold of. Right, and if you shoot me one thing, I might not answer. You shoot me a second one, I still might not answer. The third time might be the time where I at least hit you back. The sixth time might be the time that I invite you to go to a meeting. So if you really, like I said, be intentional about it. If you really want this knowledge, right, then you gotta come search for it. Cause I don't have the time. I'm building an empire. I don't have the time to just sit around like I'm wondering who's gonna be at my door.
Right. I'm glad you called.
Now, and I think though, but if I got young folks, because one of the things I feel like that is like an obligation that I have, you know, to give back. So I will make time, and I do make time. But what I'm saying is, and I think it goes back to, you know, what Gary said as well. Though, I mean, you gotta like show me that, you know, you committed to whatever it is, because I've taken so many meetings and I try to help so many young folks, and the problem is, I'm like, after a while talking to them, you're not even committed to what you're trying to do, you know, and you come in and you sit down with me and you asking me for something that you're not even committed to. So you need to get committed to what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do, and then we can really have a realistic conversation of how I can help you, you know, get to wherever it is you want to be. But, you know, that's not a conversation in which, you know, you trying to figure it out and you want me to help you figure it out and you don't know what it is. Because I'm like, that's not going to end well, okay?
You want to be an entrepreneur, but on Friday, you thank God for the weekend.
Right.
That don't line, right?
I think young people, too, need to understand that, you know, everyone around this table and a lot of other people, they have things that they have to do each day. So their time is not just available. So you need to come to them. And if you come to them and want them to help you, like Ken was saying, you have to be prepared. You have to come with them with what you want. You can't just come to them and say, hey, I want to be great. Tell me how to do that.
Right. I'm like,
What does that even mean? Like, I don't even know what you have, what skill sets you have, what ideas you have. You know, come to them and say, hey, I want to be great, and I want to be great doing this, and this is what I've done to prepare for that. You know, how can we work together? How can I help you out? And maybe we can collab on something. But don't just go to them and say, help me become great.
Yeah.
That's real.
I think it's amazing. I think so many people want to be great, and that's all. So many people want to be football players. So many people want to be entrepreneurs. So many people want your job, want your title, want everything else, right? But they don't want to do the work that's required.
Yeah.
And for me, so many people, I get hit up. Obviously, being a professional athlete, I want to be a professional athlete. It's their 4th year out of college. Right, they didn't start at college. They're overweight. They're not working towards their thing, right? And then I hit them some harsh realities. And it's not for everyone. And even when it is, it's not for long.
Right.
Right. So don't talk to me about the dream that you want to have, but you're not committed to putting the work. Right. And anything you can obtain, but it's going to require you putting the work.
Yep.
And if you're unable or unwilling to put in that work, guess what? You got to choose a different dream.
yeah, but it's not likely. It's not likely to happen.
It's not likely it'll happen.
You gotta go to sleep again.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best advice you would give closing out when done? Closing out to the young entrepreneurs and even older entrepreneurs that's watching this. Anybody can start.
Well, the one advice that I would give is, you know, we've during this time that we've been, you know, discussing, you know, like how we got to where we're at in entrepreneurship. You know, be committed to it. You know, don't make it like, well, this is my dream, and then you haven't done anything to accomplish, you know, that dream, and then you come to us and you want us to give you advice or to give you help. Because the first thing we would say is commit to whatever it is that you want to do, and then in that commitment, you know, you have to actually, you know, put in work. You know, so if you haven't done anything, but you have this dream, you know, a dream without work is just a dream. You know, so I would suggest that you know, get started on working on putting whatever it is you want to do, putting that together. And believe me, if somebody else has done it and they've been successful, so can you. But believe me, they have put work in to get to where they're at. Okay?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. You know, a bit of what Ken was saying. You know, just be prepared. Have a plan. Don't go into any, you know, initiative or anything without planning. You know, be prepared. Think about what it is you want to do. Have a strategy to do that. And even if you're not successful, you'll probably be at a much higher level than you were, you know, when you first started, just by the fact of you kind of set a plan and you was going in the right direction. And don't walk away from your plan if it fails. You know, reevaluate. Don't just throw your hands up and say I failed. No, stop, reevaluate, see what can change, and then keep going. You know, keep going to your goal, because even if you don't reach your goal, you'll get somewhere close, and then you can build on that. But don't just because it failed, oh, let's start over. Don't start over until you get to the goal, and then start over, and then do things differently if it wasn't the outcome that you wanted.
Good point. For the rest of your life, right?
For the rest of your life, go to the goal.
Yeah.
Don't stop till you get to the goal, even if you got to change up. Get to the goal.
That's the thing, because a lot of people, they give up.
Yeah.
You know, they give up, and that's the thing. They were so close to achieving the goal, but then they give up because they, you know, their hope, you know, and it just is one of those things where that's why I say you have to just commit to it. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? You got to commit. Mm-hmm. So that didn't work. You got to commit and put the work in.
Runs out.
So,
I think so. My thing is what both Stephen and Ken have said is just like you got to begin with the end in mind, right? You have to know what that goal is. You got to write it down. You got to articulate it. You got to be detailed about it. Our goal isn't I want to be rich.
Right.
Our goal is I want $20 million, right? And then you can map out how old you are now, right? And a goal is I want $20 million in 10 years. And then map out how you're going to get there and what type of revenues you need to come in to make that happen. So set up yourself for success, be intentional about it, but you have to know what that goal is. And it has to be detailed, it has to be written down, it has to be able to be articulated in order for you to be able to achieve it.
point.
Yeah. Nothing to add to that except once you do all that, be willing to share with these next youngsters,
Right.
your next peers, not just your youngsters, the people you grew up with that you've in society's world you've went further than them. Bring them along, show them how to do it, and you all rise together.
Love it. Appreciate y'all. Definitely. How can we get in contact with you?
Stephen Farris on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn can be reached there. And winningexperiences.org can also see about the non-for-profit. Inner city youth, we train them in civics. We have a national competition that we take them to each year to compete against other young people from other states in a mock congressional hearing. We reward them based on how they perform. One thing they do is they actually do an essay based on a fundamental issue facing society, and they interject the Constitution into that. And then after they express their essay question, they get into rapid fire questions with the panel, and they ask them relevant things, and they have to use the Constitution and also their experiences to answer it in real time. And it's pretty amazing seeing those kids who come in not knowing anything to be able to articulate facts, about the Constitution, about their rights, in a very, very kind of pressure environment, and be successful. So that's what I do in the community right now. And I'm also on the board of directors at my dad's senior living center on the east side.
Awesome. That's great. You can contact me. You can see me at any one of my stores, stacked.com. In the neighborhood near you is like what we like to say. But I'm on social media. Gary Brackett is my handle on Instagram, Facebook, Gary Brackett 58 on Twitter. I also have a foundation, GaryBrackett.org, Impact Foundation, and we deal with critically and chronically ill youth. And we also have several initiatives behind that. And what I'm most passionate about is our new initiatives, which is Impact Works, where we give out and put seminars on for youth enter into the workforce. And then Impact Radio, and Impact Works is actually we give jobs to some of those youths inside one of our restaurants. Hospitality industry is 30% of the world's population of the workforce. So even if it's not for you, someone you may know might be the right fit for you, or the situation where you can do that while you're getting your education. So definitely I encourage you to look it up to find out more information.
So yeah, I have a foundation, KenThorpeFoundation.org. Through that foundation, I give away scholarships to young folks that are pursuing college education. So I do that every year, as well as once they complete their first year of school, I give them a internship. They get to work for one of my companies, and it's a paid internship. And then I try to follow them throughout their college experience and give them the support that I think that they may need. So if you're trying to get in contact with me, as Gary said, it's not super hard. I am on LinkedIn, so that's Ken Thorpe. You can look me up, but I would suggest you Google me. I used to get people like my personal phone number, and I'd be like, they got out of control. So hit me up. Like I said, LinkedIn, or you can definitely Google me and go through my website for my foundation, and we also are on Facebook for the foundation as well. And I will definitely get back with you and provide any type of help or assistance I can, providing that you've done your homework.
Come on. Yeah.
James Wide, the easiest way is on LinkedIn. Hit me that way. Definitely just some passions with the youth, those that are in foster care. I'm actually on the board with the Ken Thorpe Foundation, Pike Township Education Foundation, Kappa League. These are all youth serve organizations. So that's just definitely a passion of mine, because the youth is going to be here tomorrow. So that's me.
What you think about it? I don't care what you say. That was a dope build to me. Hope you liked it. But I gotta get ready to go. Where am I going? On my way to another build. It don't stop. You better not stop. One more thing.
The world is yours. You, listen. The world is yours. It's all mental. Go get it.